Hi guys and welcome back to Dice Down Gaming. We're back with another post-January update video, and today we are going through my babies at the Brineblood Marauders. Most important question of every video every week. How are you, Dan?
I'm all right, but going through smelly trolls is it's going to be hard. We'll hopefully see them getting nerfed, but no, we'll go through, and I'm sure I'll be even happier to face them.
I'm sure
Even
I'm sure you will. I think we both expected them as a faction to lose some of their accuracy.
Yep.
It was quite easy to get Mat 9, Rat 10, so I think that's probably going to be cut down. And then I think on what was on the hot list is Razemonger's feet as well. That affecting ranged attacks is always a bit of a thing. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens there, and we'll go through all of it. So we'll kick off without further ado. The first change is a global one. My beautiful boarding party and all the other pigs lose tough. So that's a bit of a shame. There is a silver lining that quite often people would be shooting my boarding party. I would make a tough roll, and then that's a very easy target to get blast off because now I'm defense 5.
Yeah.
So it's a shame that they won't tough, but in some
Yeah.
situations, it's actually quite nice that you can't tough and give someone a very easy thing to shoot.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think what's nice is the fact that because when I first read that, I thought, oh, is that a bit harsh? Is that a bit? But actually, like you say, when you did get them, when you did manage to hit them because of the high defense, they were then victims. But also with Matt and Rat going down, that high defense is going to mean something still. Yeah, no, I think it's a good change personally.
I think it's fair, and obviously, I think pigs in general they'll go over to there'll be pigs in Kifgard as well. So it's
Yeah, I
probably
was about.
yeah, probably fair to say that pigs in Kifgard also won't be having tough.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Abyssal King. Dan, you go through.
So straight away, armor goes from 19 to 20. So your Risk King's going to be able to tank a little bit more. The bulbous chomper cuts paralyzing gaze, but adds eyeless sight, which I know that if you're bringing him in a a fire quill list like you've done previously, might be a big boon. The electro lure cuts ore, but adds exigence, which means models engaged by models suffer -2 to their attack rolls when attacking models without exigent. Um, Big thing there. If you imagine we've got the mat going down, then you're also bringing that in as well. It's going to be interesting to how your models around your Abyssal King can be a bit more survivable. And then finally, Electro Charge Spray goes around from 10 to 8. Standard, we've talked about how range is going down for the game. So, yeah, I mean, Abyssal King, from my perspective, he still seems pretty good. And what do you think, Aaron?
Yep. So losing Paralyzer Gaze is a bit of a shame. It's a massive on a 120 millimeter base within 5 inches. Your -2 defense. That's a shame to lose that. But eyeless sight is really really welcome. Typically, the army doesn't hasn't got many options to play around stealth. So
Yeah,
naturally, eyeless sight on this guy is really really handy. Losing ore, similar. It was if you're within 5, you're -2 to attack rolls. It was only for living, I believe. Now it's a slightly smaller aura, so he's got a 3-inch melee. So if you're being engaged with it, you're -2 to attack rolls. No longer dependent on living, which is nice. So a slight downgrade, but when people are losing their mat and rat, maybe you don't want to also have a 5-inch aura of -2. And the spray going down makes sense. Most ranges are going down. I quite like the Abyssal King with Fire Quill, and I probably still like the Abyssal King with Fire Quill. It's quite nice. It's a bit more natively tanky. It's only got 56 boxes, not like 58 or 60. So the armor 20 is really welcome.
yeah,
So I think, yeah, nice. No points increases. A bit of quality of life downgrade in terms of reducing people's rat or reducing their death, but that's sort of in line with the
yeah.
changes. And I think it will probably still see play with a few guys, so that's good.
I feel like it's still that central piece. I don't know about you. It's like isn't that focal point within your army also looks great. So I can see it not being any less popular.
No, for sure. It still looks freaking awesome. It's a crazy cool model. And it's naturally more resilient. So if you are going to try and build around it and make it tough to kill, it's tougher to kill. So,
Yeah.
Next up, probably one of my two favourite warlocks in the faction is Admiral Boomhowler, Miguel. So first of all, Avenging Force is being standardised to a Vengeance move, and it's only once a turn. And it's just a one basic melee attack, so I'm not sure if other things... so previous Righteous Vengeance would just be an attack. Now it's just a
Yeah,
melee attack. So
yeah.
that's good to know that you can't move and take a free squid shot or a crab net, etc. Has to be a melee attack. And then next up, we get to the spells she's got. So we all know that the rack's gone and we're cutting spells up. Boomhowler came out pretty good. So she's got Rough Seas, which is a pain in the ass for anyone that wants to shoot Brian Bloods. I'm
Yep.
sure if you've tried to shoot Brian before, you've experienced it. On a Control 14 Warlock, really, really sweet. She's got the plus Death feat. So
Yep.
baseline, before you start applying lots of things that Brian Bloods can apply, your Death 15 under Rough Seas. It's really nice. Petition is really cool. It gives you can play a bit more beast heavy. You're not forced to spam Marauder Crew. So if you damage a model, one of your cohort can move 5 inches towards the closest model. That's really nice and gives those slow dire trolls 5 inches potential more threat, which when paired with Avenging Force is suddenly 8 inches more threat, and it actually makes them. There's some non-linear angles you can get. And lastly, she gets a new spell which isn't on the rack called Onslaught, which is if you charge in a control range, you gain Pathfinder.
Which is really good when you're giving out precision strike from her. You can then you're going to be able to have that maneuverability. I think we spoke about when we had the Brian Blood faction dive back in 2025. We spoke about Boom Howler being a really good sort of starter caster. It looks the same and looks really strong. That's not starter in the sense of being bad, but actually just seems like a really solid caster. I would play her if I was playing Brian Bloods.
Yeah, I think she's really well rounded. Rough Seas protects your infantry. Petition gives you extended threat on war beasts. She keeps Storm Ranger, which is +2 map, power, and armor for a model. There's tons of good solos in Brian Bloods to put that on. Or just put that on one model in a unit as it charges, and that one guy is +2 map, +2 power. A bosun with Storm Ranger and Stir the Blood charges at power 19, mat 9. That's still a pretty good stat. That's really nice. Onslaught is great because typically I never take defenses in trolls because nothing has Pathfinder. Now, if I charge, I have Pathfinder. Maybe defenses you look at her with Boomhowler. Plus Rough Seas. I think she's going to be really, really good. She also gains Amphibious, which is something we're going to see a trend along Brian Bloods, is that a lot of their infantry gains Amphibious. Being able to create 3 inches areas of shallow water with your Spirit Shamans. It's really, really strong because you're going to get concealment under your water, so you've got Rough Seas and concealment. So she's Def 17, just standing near a Spirit Shaman, and other things we can put on. TLDR, it's going to be hard to shoot Boomhowler's list, and also she sends the War Beast quite far.
What's interesting is that you're going to be able to put Rough Seas in on the way in, and then you can pop your feet once you are engaged, and because the map debuff, that's going to make it then much more survivable. So I can see her being the quintessential sort of dudes list, but you've said as well that you can now go more cohort heavy as well, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I think she is really wide open in terms of how you want to play her, which is really nice. But I think Rough Seas will be like a defining spell on her because it's so good into shooting.
Yeah. Move on to the booty boss.
Yes, we've
Right.
got that's you. You go.
Yeah, booty boss goes from rat 6 to rat 5. We talked about changes, but also gains amphibious. So again, you'll see that as, and I think that's quite nice that as a almost as a faction identity, more models are going to get amphibious because they're
Yes.
pirate trolls.
And he keeps all of his battle plans, which includes sneak, which means if you've got concealment, you get prowl. So you've got concealment, you've got cover, and with things getting amphibious, keep that in mind. It's very good. Next up, we've got one of the most talked about warlocks in Brian Bloods, Raise Monger. Before I started playing in 2024, 4 quartermasters with this guy I understand was a plague to the meta. So they made quartermasters not get their own +2 to hit and +2 to damage. Still, people probably weren't a fan of 4 quartermasters spiking 1s and 6s and lifting off your cohorts at range. So they have done some steps to address that. So he gains Field Marshal Shield Guard and loses Field Marshal Unyielding. So that is interesting. There were certainly, if you take 3 Diatrolls that are armor 21, then armor 23 in melee and put Fortify on one of them, that's very hard to shift those 3. So you're not going to be able to skew the armor so much, and also he doesn't have Fortify anymore. So you're not going to be able to build this big beast brick. He gains Ravager. Now, Ravager is Berserk for a cohort model. One of the Diatroll's fins gives Overtake. So now there is the option for each turn to have a Berserking, Overtaking Diatroll walk through stuff in your opponent's army. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty cool. As well as that, he gains Starcrossed. Now, this is a really interesting decision for a primarily Def 12 army. I'm not sure how much value you're going to get in Starcrossed against your Diatrolls, etc. That said, with Mat coming down, when you're at Mat 6 and you're trying to hit Def 12 under Starcrossed, on average you do miss. So perhaps there is some value in Starcrossed after all. He's only controlled 12, so I've always sort of struggled myself with playing lots of cohorts and control 12 casters. Starcrossed is a bit of a curveball for me. I'm not sure how much value you're going to get that in Brineblood. We'll see. Next up, the feat, and I think most people expected this change. It only affects melee attacks. I think it's fair. I think it's fair.
Yeah.
I think shooting people with quartermasters from range and spiking your 1s into 6s probably wasn't very fun, and also didn't take a great deal of skill. You can still do the same thing with a Berserking Diatroll with Overtake, but you can't do it from range. You still keep your 5-inch feet, which is really good for those assassinations, because you can feet move and then drag someone in with your Whaler. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
He retains his 2 spells, and Tantrum is moved to a Vengeance move. So the same as a 3-inch move, and you can't make a ranged attack. Really interesting. I think the most interesting thing for me is taking some Diatrolls with the Berserk fin, the Overtake fin, giving them Berserk, and see how that does.
Yeah.
The feat's still incredibly potent for a turn in melee. If you have a big melee turn, you still have a really good feat. Starcrossed, I'm still not sure about.
Yeah.
I mean, because the reason I say that, because my impression or my gut instinct is that people are going to immediately jump onto Warlocks and Warcasters that fix their mat problem. So even though you potentially could be Mat 6, well, I'm probably going to play someone like Mortenebra or Bodan or Jakes, or who's got Synergy or Insight or Carnage, and you're probably not really going to be Mat 6. And that's my initial gut instinct. So we'll see. He could be good. I think he's definitely worse than he was, because the feat is just the same but worse. And losing Field Marshal Unyielding is for Shield Guard is a bit of a shame as well. We'll see. He's definitely worse. I don't think he's going to be I don't think he's going to terrorize the field anymore.
I can see Starcrossed being particularly frustrating to play against when people start to unlock different styles of lists. I remember playing Starcrossed with Calandra back in Mark II when I took Croak Raiders, and just as soon as you start going that depth going up, it really starts to come up with people's dice and everything. But I can also see Mercenaries with Ragemonger, because Starcrossed obviously affects your opponent.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he's going to land. I still think he's very good, because I think the feat is still really good, and I think Ravager, like Berserking Shum or Berserking Diatrolls is really cool. So I'm interested to see where Ragemonger sits once the January update comes out.
Yeah.
Cool. We've got Firequill next.
Firequill, I hate this caster in 2025, and I'm going to struggle against him in 2026 because he gets an extra point of armor. He cuts broadside, but he gains open fire, black spot, and shellfish bullets. A cost 1 spell with range self. The next enemy model hit by this model's ranged attack cannot score objectives, caches, or objective terrain for 1 round. I'm going to hate that. Change Bullet Dodger to a unique version called High Noon. At the same effect, but targets a friendly faction warrior model / unit. Then Heavy Rain now reads 1 in Captain Firecall's control range. Friendly faction models gain boosted range attack damage rolls and true sight. He's going to be opening fire. He's going to be saying, send a full volley. He's going to make me cry with a ranged army that's going to hit like a ton of bricks if they do hit. Gains Amphibious, gains Black Penny. And there's a couple other little changes. I think Firecool, I thought it was great before. I was hoping to see a cut of Fortune Hunter, but unfortunately still got it. I can see Firecool being the man in Brinebloods. What do you think?
So yeah, I mean, we'll cover the change to his weapons because it's very different. So previously you had one 8-inch spray, two range 10 Mazelock pistols, and one holdout pistol, which the Starfish shot. Now that's all been consolidated into one gun, which is rate of fire 3. So you lose a potential shot, so you can't do 4 shots, you can do 3. But previously he didn't have one of his shots type was Black Penny. He just has Black Penny all the time now, so you don't have to choose a shot type to get Black Penny. And it does mean that your 3 shots can be momentum or blood boon or a spray. So now you could do 3 sprays a turn at range 11 with snipe. You could do 3 momentum shots a turn and slam 3 things into each other. I like that. You could knock 3 things down a turn. You could do a mixture of all of those. With Black Spot, he could slam 6 things to each other. You could Black Spot a unit and kill a thing and slam into another thing. So the way he operates is slightly different. The spell to have something not score, which is really hard for me to say as a lispy person, shellfish bullets is not easy. I think will be good against cohort models, right? If you've got 2 cohort models and we're playing in a 50mm game and I shoot one of them, only one of them can score. If I kill that one of them, you've only got one and I shoot that, are you going to try and score the 50mm with your leader? I wounldn't mind that as a Firefield Quill player because I'm really good at killing leaders with Fire Quill. So I think that's a really interesting spell. Some people just take like a single Colossal as their cohort. If I shoot that can't score at all game. So that's going to be really interesting. It can still contest, which is good. Otherwise, it would be completely like busted. But really, really interesting. I really like the feat is no longer just cohort. So your pig boarding party can have boosted blast rolls. You can take Marauder Crew Quartermasters. They still get +2 damage under the Binny feat. So power 14 Weapon Masters at range. You can take the King and take 2 lots of AoE free 15-10 guns, and all them blast rolls are boosted. True Sight is really good because there's not many options against stealth or clouds, and now you've got that in defeat. I think he's a much more well-rounded warlock. You're now like your Marauder Crew or your boarding party or your Firewalkers, but probably still not your Firewalkers. Your Marauder Crew and your boarding party are going to get defeat as well. So you're not in this weird list where you can't fit only cohort in, but everything else you put in doesn't get any bonus at all. I'm going to have great fun slamming people all year next year into each other or knocking them down. There's some really cool things later on that make Black Spot a bit more applicable as well. And there's some really gross things with Black Spot where you can like put it on a unit, have your Abyssal King kill one in melee and shoot the gun, and then kill one in melee and shoot his gun. Black Spot is a really fun spell. Some games it's useless because there's no units that you can like farm to get extra attacks. Some games there's loads of units you can Black Spot, and your Marauder Crew unit can like charge in, kill something, shoot something, shoot something, shoot something from one model, right? So it's going to be really cool. And then there's also the loop with Lockerbrass Brothers that have got Snapfire that you can shoot something, get a Black Spot trigger, kill it, get a Snapfire trigger, kill it, get a Black Spot trigger, and infinitely shoot until you run out of targets. There's also that interaction as well, which will be boosted damage rolls under defeat. So,
God, that accuracy down.
It has gone down. It has gone down. I would still say they're quite accurate as an army, but not as accurate. But I'm really bloody excited to play loads of Fire Quill. My first pairing is going to be Fire Quill and Boom Howler for sure. A Boom Howler list that's really resilient to guns, and a Fire Quill list that shoots really well. That's going to be really cool. So he also games Amphibious, and I think at this point we're going to say that all the infantry game Amphibious. Save every time. If you're an infantry, apart from Shadow Tongue, who's next, you are
Yeah,
amphibious.
about to say. So, talking of Shadow Tongue, gains Fog of War and Siding Touch, and Elite Cadre, friendly faction warrior models gain Undead.
Which I really was a curveball for me. I did not see that one coming. So he keeps Hex Blast, Ghost Walk, Revive, and Gallows. They're his spells. And then he also gets, we have 6 spells. Some Warlocks only end up with 3. He's got 6. Siphon Touch is pretty incredible. He retains being able to arc through models in his control. So you pick a Marauder crew in your control and cast Siphon Touch on that model. That's really cool. Fog of War, I suppose it's not bad on a Control 16 caster. I mean, you can trigger Prowl with Fog of War. So with 2 booty bosses, 2 units can be stealthed. That's pretty nice. And then his other spells are just fantastic utility spells. Ghost Walk without Pathfinder is really, really good because you always got Pathfinder on. You need it. Gallows is threat extension, though I'd say that quite a lot of things now can't be pushed or moved. Plus defenses are really common, so you can't push them across the defense. Gallows is okay. I think Petition is a better threat extension, but he hasn't got that, so that's what it is. Revive, I'm still not a big fan of Revive in the current edition. How do you feel about Revive?
I think we need to see Steamroller to determine whether it's going to be impactful.
Yeah, it's just the fact that you can't activate when you revive. So I always feel like if you're winning and you revive, you win really, really hard. But if you're losing and you revive, the stuff that you revive comes on, doesn't do anything, and then dies again. So yeah, I know I've never been a big fan of revive, but Hex Blast is a really, really good spell to have.
Yeah.
And him having that, he's like just a perfect utility caster. You can play anything in the faction with him. Always spells are useful in some situations. And one really nice thing is your warriors being undead means if someone's got mortal fear, you're not living. And there's a few things that affect only living models that you get around with the elite cadre. I think he will be very good, and he's a massive tool, a massive like Swiss Army knife of a warlock.
Yeah. Do you see him being quite a high skill ceiling caster?
Yeah, I feel like every turn you have like so many things you could do with your spell list, and I think being able to pick, you've only got so much fury. Being able to pick the correct thing every turn with the fury that you have will be really hard.
Yeah, that's fair.
Next up, we've got Shum, and he's got the standard treatment that he loses a point of mat. He goes to mat 7, and he loses hyper regeneration and gains regeneration. So you can force him to heal D3 rather than automatically healing D3. He loses a mat. Everything else still is the same. Warhead stays the same, so you're still donking people and doing power 12s near them. It's not a blast roll, so they don't get blast resistance to it. Some is still great, a tiny bit less accurate, the same as everything else.
Yeah. So Commodore Foulblood, add Fury, Strength, Powder Keg, and Fortune. And his feat becomes, while within Foulblood's control area, additional grants tough to faction warrior models, enabling pigs to gain tough during his feat turn. So it's no longer board wide; it's just within his control area. Bit fairer, some would say. You cut battle plan, fighting dirty, and walk it off. Open bar becomes an always on passive ability, and he gains amphibious too. Personally, think he's going to be a bit fairer. What do you think?
Yeah, so he is the one that gets Fury Strength. So he is the one that's going to have those Marauder crew still be power 17. That is already a bloody good start. Powder Keg is a niche spell. If it crits, you lose your initial attacks, but it costs 4 Fury. So say you're throwing at a Colossal and you're trying to fetch a crit, you normally boost to hit, and that's 5 Fury. So it's really niche, Powder Keg. Fortune is obviously really good. Marauder crew keep dual attacks, so they're 10 attacks each for 6 points. We roll in all them hits when you're not as accurate. It's really, really good. So that's awesome. He keeps Fortify because he has that on his actual spell list. That's a really great spell. A king with Fortify is useful. Being able to Fortify Shum so he doesn't walk off when he gets hit is really useful. Fortifying a Dire Troll is really useful. Fortifying yourself so you don't walk away. Fortify is a great spell. It also gets around like things that knock you down. Fortify is really good. And he keeps Blur, which is really, really good Blurring a Marauder crew unit to their Death 15 is really, really solid. He hasn't got Rough Seas, but there is still you can still blur one unit, put Force Barrier on another unit for Death 14. You can then take two booty bosses. You use the Spirit Shamans to put out some water, and then give those two Marauder crew units stealth and concealment. So you can still run four Marauder crew units at Death 14 or 15. You haven't got Rough Seas, but you do hit harder when you get there with Fury Strength. And you do have no knockdown aura of 10 inches with your tough army. The feat becoming control area, I think everyone expected. I personally think that it was a mistake from Team Voice Games that they didn't want to admit and just stuck with it. But now they're changing it. So, or maybe you're not Team Voice Games, maybe Privateer Press. But I'm glad they've changed it to control area. The battle plans is kind of a shame because these battle plans were really good. They were like Grievous Wounds for a unit, or basically put the fires out for a unit. That said, 90% of the time you were just putting up no knockdown. So I understand why they changed it. I think he could. I'm not sure if he does enough to protect you against guns, giving you four units that are high defense or you need rough seas. But if you don't need rough seas, he's still hitting as hard as Marauder Crew used to. They're still charging at power 17. Okay, they're slightly less accurate. They lost gang, but they're still every unit's still lifting off a heavy. So I think. Sorry, you go.
Just let's see him be in the armor cracking list then.
So he definitely that and Shadow Tongue because Shadow Tongue has silent up, so you can do the same thing. Ragemonger obviously in melee under the feet hits really hard because you have the feet, but not every turn does he hit really hard. The Marauder Crew power 15 instead of 17. I think there's a question of is power 15 still enough? If so, Boom Howler is better because you get to power 15 and you get the gun and you get the gun defense. If you need power 17, is the shooting defense you have good enough and still have power 17? I still think Foulblood and Boom Howler sort of can play a similar list, though I think now Boom Howler's gained sort of petition permanently. You probably could play a more heavy cohort list with Boom Howler and get away with a really, really good list. I think with Fury Strength being on Foulblood, you're probably looking to make the most of that and make the most of Marauder Crew with Fury Strength. I still think playing like four Marauder Crews, it's like two Bosuns for the 12-inch threat once per game in Pathfinder, two Tappers, and Lockerbash Brothers is still an army of power 17 models that are no knockdown. Plus, you've still got a bunch of points for 2 or 3 heavies and some support, like Boom Howler, Madame Moriarty, Stormjaw, Fuse Walkers are really good with Foulblood. I still think he's putting together a really competitive list, and it's going to still get hit as hard as it did before.
Yeah.
So I think the question between Foulblood and Boom Howler for me is, do I need the range defense of Boom Howler? Or do I need rough seas, If not, I'd probably go Foulblood and just do all the Marauder Crew. But the extra threat range on Boom Howler on War Beast is really good that you don't have with Foulblood. So there's nuances between the two. I think Foulblood is still going to be super nasty to play against.
Yep.
Next up, we've got the changes to the Diatrol. Now, this was a part of the early spoilers, so people may have gone through this before. Highlights are that it goes to Mat 6. I was kind of sad that it goes to Rat 4. I was hoping it would stay Rat 5. So going down to Rat 4 is a bit of a shame because still probably want to run a couple with Fire Quill or one with Fire Quill, and being Rat 4 is kind of painful. Now, Rage Animus only applies to melee damage, which I think everyone can rejoice over. It even felt weird as me applying Rage to my Abyssal King and then I'm going to shoot you harder. It didn't make much sense. Rage also applied to Shum's Warhead rolls, which didn't make any sense either. So that's a good change. It gains a point of armor naturally, which is quite nice. The fin that gives you +2 armor goes down to +1 armor. And that makes the other fins quite attractive because they've got some really good abilities loaded into them. The Squid Blaster loses ranged, so it goes from range 12 to 10, but goes to melee range 3, which is really interesting because that's got drag. So you can drag things into your maybe lesser melee ranged weapons, or just drag them in so your Marauder Crew that weren't in threat are in threat now. It's a really cool tech. Anchor goes to power 20, which is really gnarly. You've got Rage in the faction, so it can be 22. Shadowmonger can strive and touch something to go to 24. Ragemonger got his feet, so on those turns are going to be explosive. That's nice because the Hammerhead only being 2 power less and 2-inch melee, but being a chain weapon, often meant you were basically the same power because you ignored someone's shield. Now it's 3 power higher. It actually is definitely higher power, especially if you were hitting something without a shield.
Yeah.
There's a new Animus, so they lose Swift Hunter as an Animus, which I kind of a shame because Swift Hunter on Fire Quill was really cool. You could like walk up with Fire Quill, cast the Animus, kill something, move 2 inches, and then snipe yourself, and you got a bit of extra threat. So no longer doing that. But you do gain an Animus, which is +2 to your ranged attack damage roll on your next shot. So it replaces Rage in a way. Rage was all of your attack. This is just your next attack. But you've still got access to plus damage for your range, which is quite nice. And lastly, the Lunker, which gives you Prowl, which is really nice because Deepborn Die Trolls are amphibious. So you can cast Fog of War or do Black Waters and give your Deepborn Die Troll stealth. Also gives you +1 threshold and overtake. Also gives you Pathfinder now. You lose the armor bonus. But being able to naturally have Pathfinder and Dire Trolls is actually really nice because Pathfinder in the faction previously is really limited. So that's an awesome change. I actually think that Dire Trolls are actually in a really nice space. I think they're their shooting options are really not good in my opinion. You've got the one squid that is a range 10 spray at power 12. Crit blind is okay. Yep. But you can't really kill. There's no build where you take loads of Dire Trolls and kill cohorts at range. The other gun, Crabnet, is higher power, but it's range 8 and they move 5. So your shooting threat is 13, which other people's melee threat is further than that, right? So I think their range options may be a bit lackluster, but I think there's a ton of good melee options between the 3 fins. And Ragemonger plus overtaking Berserk in Dire Trolls, I'm really excited to try.
Yep, totally agree. And a big Dire Troll shouldn't be very accurate. That's my...
No, it's fair. It's fair.
But he should be able to hit you hard. Fire Guardians. Leadership change to spell cast by friendly faction models within 8 inches when they are spell point of origin. Gain +2 range and gains channel and inconsequential. I know you spoke about this in one of the spoiler reaction videos.
Yeah, I mean, I think still... So you lose a 10-inch bubble of magic weapons, which against some armies was really, really good, and some armies didn't matter. I actually quite like the +2 range for spells because it affects animi as well. So your Dire Troll casting Rage or Ferocious Impact, whatever, has got 8 inches. Your casters, like say Petition, is range 12, not 10. There's some nice having +2 range on your spells for a point is really, really nice. And Channeler is quite nice as well. You can plop it on one side of the table if you're playing on 2/3 and use it to cast spells through that third of the table.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Fire Spitters. It's only bad news with Fire Spitters, I'm afraid. I would love these guys to get a big glow up because I kind of don't see why you would take them over Marauder Crew. But let's see what happens to them. They lose a point of Rat, it's fair enough. They lose dual attack, which is kind of rough because Marauder Crew kept dual attack. And they lose Prey. But I think from what we've seen, everything loses Prey. So that is what it is. The Flame Shot goes to higher power to account for Prey. And the club goes to higher power account for Prey. But, these are 8 points for 5 single wound models that don't now longer have dual attack. Whereas Marauder Crew is 6 points for 5 models that have dual attack. And have really useful unit attachments, and the Fire Spitters don't.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're gonna see any more Fire Spitters due to these changes.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because they're cool models. I'm gonna be painting them for our Journeyman League in February. So I'm gonna really get to see how good or bad they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Next up.
So first mate, Hargor Stormjaw. Basically reduces his rat by 1, so mat goes from 8 to 7, his rat from 6 to 5, gains amphibious, but otherwise he's unchanged, so he's still pretty good.
That guy is still absolute bro. We're keeping veteran leader for Marauder Crew. This is a good thing. So Marauder Crew, if they're within 10, a mat 7, rat 6, that's pretty good. We've got well, we'll get onto it. There's other ways to increase our accuracy. We're still good boys. All the Brineblood bros in the chat, pour out one. This dude is still great for Storm Razor. Storm Razor is Mat 9, Power 15, Def 14, Armor 18. He's a Weapon Master. He's amphibious now. We can put him in some water, make him Def 16, Armor 18. Guy's a good one. He didn't get any more points. He didn't lose Veteran Leader. Thank you, Matt Hart, for that one. Next.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and snipe out that intro.
Yeah, he is now even more important than he ever
Yeah.
was.
Public enemy number one.
Absolutely. You know, now you haven't passively got gang. That +1 to Matt. Say like you're
Yeah.
Matt 6 and you're hitting something Def 13, which Rangers
Yeah.
are. Being Matt 6 or Matt 7 is a big difference.
Big difference. Big, yeah.
So
if I'd done a video on that. Oh wait.
wait. I did, yeah. I didn't realise that. That was a great self-plug from me.
Yeah, self-plug. Yeah. Okay, so note to self, kill him first. Right. So I'm gonna try and say this name right. Fugu Walker?
I say Fuse, but I don't know if that's right or not.
Okay. Huge. Anyway, the Walker goes from Mat 7 to Mat 6, speed 6 to 5, but gains jump, which is a really good ability.
So these are the solo frogs that you know, don't get used great often. They're pretty good with Storm Razor because their base armor is 17. Every turn it licks a frog and it gets a rule. One of the things it can lick is +2 armor. And then with Storm Razor, your armor 21, which is really, really nice. Them gaining jump is really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put one of these in my Boom Howler list. Put Storm Razor on it, and it's gonna be Mat 8. It's got Berserk. It's got 2 attacks. That's perfect for operating around a flank. If I can sit behind some terrain, like a bit of wall, or sit in a trench, or get in a forest, it's got Pathfinder, which is lovely. You know, be hard to kill. You can then walk, jump. That's 12-inch threat of walk, jumping, and hitting you. It's got Berserk. I think the jump is really, really good for them because they're kind of slow, but non-linear movement is really good, right? Stand behind a building, move 5, jump another direction, really good. So I think certainly with Foul Blood because they can get Stumbling Drunk by licking a toad, and certainly with Boom Howler, you're gonna see a few of these.
How many points are they?
4, and they say it 4. We didn't really mention the Foul Blood gives pigs tough under the feet. That is cool. And they're tough no knockdown, so boarding party are annoying, and they're even more annoying under tough no knockdown. Next up, we've got Great Old One, and now everyone is going to be super happy to hear this. We lose point of Map, we lose point of Rappler. Great Claw, range 1 to range 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
When the claw's the size of a ranger, it should be range 2.
So happy about this. I'm probably going to put Old One in my Boom Howler list because he's got Carapace. Really hard to shoot armor 24 off. He goes up a point, so he's 17, not 16. But that 2-inch melee upgrade is really, really nice. He no longer threatens 9 inches. A lot easier to hit things over the top of things with 2 inches. Really, really great change.
Yeah. Then Kruger gets added to the army. So this is something that we're seeing throughout the forces, that wider range of mercenaries available to factions, which is interesting.
Yeah, really, really cool. Next up, we got the Lockerbash Bros. Now, this reading the first sentence is pretty hard. We lose gang, sidestep, dual attack, and relentless charge on these guys. So this one is a bit of a sad one. They gain amphibious and they gain assault. So if they charge something, you can shoot the thing you charge before you make your melee attack.
Yeah.
And they gain unbreakable wall, which is not bad. To offset gang, they get to power 12.
Yeah.
So when they charge, they still have their brutal charge. And you can still stir the blood. So they're still power 16 when they charge, and they can be power 18 with foul blood or Shadow Tongue. So that's cool, but they did lose a whole bunch of rules. I think these are a really nice addition for Firequill. Now, he's got Black Spot. Well, he's been given Black Spot. They've still got Snap Fire. So if you shoot a unit under Black Spot, you can say shoot it, get a Black Spot trigger, shoot something else, get a snapfire trigger, come back and shoot the black spot unit, and you can loop that interaction until there's nothing left. And under defeat, you've got boosted damage rolls. I don't think that happens a lot because
No,
I think in the meta, very, very often is there 10 single build units to do that against, right? It can happen. I'd say they're probably a bit worse with the amount they lost for their points, but they still hit quite hard. Sanguine Bond still makes them quite hard to shift.
yeah.
So they'll probably still have a place in lists.
Marauder crew, the bane of my life, the bane of our local meta, but also I think we've discussed how possibly a bane of Brineblood's design moving forward, and just generally factionated. But anyway, they cut gang. Rejoice, everyone. They're not getting gang, but their hand weapon does increase to power 13, so they do have the extra power. But they gain amphibious. So at the moment, you're thinking, okay, they're not as good.
So
then they've got
I think it's fair to say when I first read, like when we first went through these changes together, I was pretty dooming on Brineblood. They lost a lot, you know. There's a lot of, you know, they lose this in this video, but I think I'm coming out of that period into a excited to play them period. So
contrast, I was really happy, thinking they're being nerfed. Let's rejoice. Let's have 4 units Marauder crew to get through every single game, and as we've gone through and as we look at the next series of unit attachments, particularly with Fire Quill, and Boom Howler, like you say, we may be back to Marauder crew are the bane of my existence.
Harlow's still going to be swimming in Marauder crew. So okay, so we lose gang, so we aren't Mat 8 all the time. I think that is sad. I liked being Mat 8 all the time, but
I bet you did.
It's fair. However, we do go to power 13, so it's quite nice in the turns where if I do charge 2 units, I'm completely free to place my models now, not worrying about triggering gang. I can place them wherever I want, right? And I'm still power 13. So silver line in there. Amphibious is actually surprisingly really, really big for Marauder crew. So not really in terms of if suddenly people are going to put loads of shallow water on the table, but in the army we have a unit called Spirit Shamans, and they have a spell called or magic ability called Black Waters. While within 3 inches of a frog that's done Black Waters, it's considered shallow water. There's 3 frogs in the unit, so that's 9 inches circles of shallow water. So we also have booty bosses, which have prowl. Well, it's called sneak. It gives the unit prowl, and prowl means if you have concealment, you get stealth. So now in faction, we have ways to give Marauder crew stealth and give them concealment if you ignore stealth. That's really, really nice. In faction, we have Greygor Boom Howler, who has Force Barrier. And we have Duck and Cover as a card. And we have Foul Blood that's got Blur. And we have Boom Howler that's got Rough Seas. So actually protecting your Marauder crew from being shot, even if you take away Rough Seas and take away Boom Howler, 2 of your units are going to be stealthed and concealment whenever you want it. It's really, really good. That goes for your casters as well. So like Fire Quill can stand at def 19 with High Noon and concealment against ranged. Amphibious is really, really nice for Marauder crew. So I think shooting them is going to be a bit harder actually from where we were previously.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got the Bosun. So the Bosun currently gives you +2 speed once a turn. Also gives you once a game. Gives you Pathfinder once a game, which is no quarter.
Yeah.
And also gives you Vengeance. So it's a really, really good addition. It sends your Marauder crew further once a game. And Vengeance is quite okay. Very, very rarely do I get any use out of it because people kill the whole unit. But it forces you to kill the whole unit. So that's quite nice. So it loses gang. Sad. But however, the anchor goes to power 15 base. So power 17 with Stir the Blood. Power 19 with people that can give it higher. It gains Amphibious. So as we previously said. And Vengeance becomes the only melee attack wording. So this is pretty much a neutral change. You know, it lost gang like everything else. It didn't go up any points. It's as good as it was, and I think Bosuns are still very good. Threatening 12 is quite nice for Brineblood. You don't threaten that far really elsewhere. And Pathfinder for once a game is really nice. You don't have much Pathfinder.
Yeah.
You can cover the next one, which is the Quartermaster.
Cost 4 goes down to 3, but his map goes from 6 to 5. Powder stores are only +2 power to the models, not to the attacks. Again, we're talking about that damage being the same, but actually decreasing. Gains amphibious and granted blast resistance, cut gang, and extended fire.
Tale of two halves there, really. So we get a point cheaper, which is really nice. Blast resistance is really nice, actually.
Yeah.
Amphibious is cool, the same as the rest. The fact that we keep powder stores for the +2 damage is quite nice because I could have been cut with Firequill's feet. Sad time that we lose extended fire. That's a big difference to the unit. Range 11 to range 8 is pretty massive. He's a rat less, so he's a rat 5, which makes him quite inaccurate. 3 points is quite nice. I'm definitely going to try these guys with Firekill, right? Boosted damage rolls, power 14. In theory, sounds quite good. I think there's a risk with that list though of, so say you try 4, for example, 4 Quartermasters. There's the risk that after the feat turn, you don't do anything really. You've got a bunch of power 12 unboosted guns, a bunch of power 13 melee attacks. So maybe after discussion, I don't think going 4 Marauder Crew Quartermasters is probably the way. Maybe 2 with 2 Quartermaster units under him. He's only control 12, so keeping all of that in your control area, you're not going to get all 4 anyway. Maybe 2 of these, two units with Firequill. Once turn, you're going to be able to get it all in control. Some boosted power 14 shots. On average, it kills armor 18 cohorts, kills armor 19 cohorts. Armor 20 cohorts, you don't kill, you're just under killing them. But also, you've got the rest of your list to help you out. So, I think probably, all in all, fair changes here. The point cost, I think, is probably justified, given that you no longer get +3 range or +2 attack. But I think having once a turn of +2 damage is probably worth it with Firequill. I'm not sure if I'm paying 3 points just for that though. Outside of Firequill, once per turn, some going from power 12 to 14, but not boosting it, feels a bit here nor there. I'm probably going bosuns elsewhere. But I think probably fair changes. I think I think them keeping extended fire where everything else loses range would probably be a bit like an anomaly. So I understand why they did that. I don't think we'll see as many Quartermasters, especially now. Razemonger feat doesn't give them the you don't get the 1s to 6s under his feet, and now you haven't got extended fire. Now they're less accurate as well, because you're going to need to take a pig dirge with these guys, so they're rat 7. So unless you're sort of building into Quartermasters now, I don't think you will see them as much, which is not a bad or good thing. I just think that's how it's sort of come out in the wash.
Cool.
And
I'm going to ask the next question just on you. So, how many Quartermasters and bosuns do you currently have?
2. I have 2 of every attachment. Currently in my house, I have 2 of every attachment.
Do you think that's going to increase?
Well, I've ordered 2 of every one, so I have 4 of every attachment on the way. But that's because they're just a bit of an OCD completionist. I don't think actually running 4 of any of them is any good, because they all sort of give you something slightly unique, and I think having a bit of each is better than all eggs in one basket. They all do this thing quite well. I think even my Firequill list that I've sort of wrote out, I've put a Marauder Crew unit in with a bosun, which is completely melee orientated, but I think you still need a packet that will operate by itself, so it doesn't need to be near Firequill. It just go fight by itself, and is sort of self-sufficient. So that sort of packet that list, say I put Stormjaw, the bosun unit, and a booty boss off to a corner, they're going to fight by themselves quite efficiently, and Firequill and guys under the feet with boosted damage rolls can fight fight together. So I don't think 4 of any of them is any good, but I've ordered them, so maybe I'll try it once.
Nice. So is it me or you?
I don't know. You go ahead.
So Marauder Crew Tapper is going to cut inspiration and gains amphibious.
Yeah, so this guy is currently 1 point. He gives you currently for 1 point inspiration, reposition once a turn, and no knockdown, stumbling drunk. So I think for 1 point, cutting inspiration
Pretty good.
is pretty fair, right?
Yeah.
Obviously now without gang as well, currently inspiration wasn't such a big deal because I was already mat 8, so being mat 9 or mat 8. But actually, inspiration keeping it would have been much more relative. Now I'm mat 6 most of the time. But losing that is fair enough. Still, no knock, no, no. Sorry, stumbling drunk, so no knockdown and being pushed away is pretty good for a point. And reposition once a game is good for a point. I think a 7 point unit of Marauder Crew with any sort of accuracy help. So, say a 7 point unit of Marauder Crew near Stormjaw, being Mat 7, Rat 6, is a really good self sufficient little fighting block. If you put a booty boss near them, 13 points of really solid fighting, and they'll operate really well on a corner of a map where the rest of your list is over here. So I think tappers still have a place, and I've got in my Boomhauer list I've got a unit of a tapper, just as a little block to fight by itself. Morgaborza loses a mat. I kind of would have liked to see Morgaborza go down in a point. She's currently 4 points, and all she really does is put Enliven on a model. Now, Enliven is really good. Don't get me wrong, Enliven is really good. She also has an auxiliary attack, which is not bad, but unboosted attacks are pretty,
Yeah.
here and there. If she came down to 3 points, it would have been quite nice. Brinebloods are really sort of stacked with 4 point solos. Fuse Walkers, Brinebloods. You want to take Booty Bosses, which are 2 points each. She's another 4 point solo, which I think currently doesn't quite cut it for the 4 points.
Yeah.
But Enliven is always really good, though. So maybe Enliven's worth the 4 points. Next up, we've got Mr. Boggs, Dan.
So, deck sweeper, spray 10, power 13 goes to 14 power. Additionally, overwhelming recoil now places the 3-inch cloud centered on Mr. Boggs before Mr. Boggs is pushed directly away from the target, leaving the cloud behind. He cuts tough and he gains amphibious.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's pretty cool. We can walk up, spray a cohort, do some damage, push yourself backwards. With the Animus for +2 to your next ranged attack. You get a power 16 spray under Ferocious Impact, which is not bad, and then you leave a cloud behind. So maybe we see a tiny bit more Mr. Boggs with Ferocious Impact, but it's not a game changer for Mr. Boggs. Yeah. Next up, we've got the Battle Brig. So this is the one thing in the faction I don't own. It's expensive, and it's awkward to carry because it's an 80mm battle engine. Right. It loses a point. It loses a rat. Grape Shot loses range. It loses leadership, and it adds friendly faction models may target any models within 8 of this, ignoring clouds. So this is quite cool because with like Grave Diggers entering the game, they like sort of put a lot of clouds down, and this gives you a way to sort of get around that. Also, just clouds in general, like Burning Earth, actually is unsurprisingly not that uncommon in some games, and that's a cloud as well. So for 9 points, it's not bad. I might order one and play around with it. Ferocious Impact means that spray is a bit more powerful when it shoots, etc. I'm not sure if it's going to suddenly come into every list with these changes, but I think losing a point cost, gaining airborne reconnaissance, there could be some use for it.
Then the pig boarding party, cost 6 down to 5. They look cut and they cut annoyance, which is another key thing. But I think with the mat changes, if they kept annoyance and everything went down mat, you're not really gonna hit them that often.
Yeah, I think they keep dodge and they keep reciprocate, which is 2 really good rules. Losing a point is quite nice, but easier to fit them in. They're still Death 14, which in Brinebloods is extremely high. Once you've got some sort of like rough seas or a bit of a wall in front of you, etc., etc., they're hard to shoot, and there will still be a pain to unjam. Like if you're mat 6, you need 8s to hit them. They'll still be great to run into a melee unit, and they're a point cheaper to do so.
I can see them being put in with Ragemonger for the Starcrossed. Just having a Death 14 unit is going to be frustrating to sort of get through. The next unit that I'm really interested in is the Pig Cannon Crew, because I haven't seen it. It cuts tough, gains amphibious. There's no real changes there. Are you going to be putting a Pig Cannon Crew in any list in 2026? Do you think?
So I do own one. Probably not. The gun has momentum, which is a really good rule.
Yep.
And there's not. It's an unboosted shot. The rat is quite low.
Right.
So if you aim and shoot a cohort model, you probably hit it most of the time.
Yep.
But for points in terms of solos, it's really competitive in Brian Bloods, and I don't think he
Yeah.
quite makes it. I mean, black spot and shoot and slamming lots of things into each other is the one thing that sort of makes it shine. So
Right.
maybe if I've got 3 points in Firecore, I put one of them in and I try and get black spot to slam things to each other and keep triggering it. Maybe. Um, but it's not game changing for that guy.
Yeah.
The Coxswain is the 1 point attachment for pigs. He loses mat, he loses rat, he gains a point of defense, he loses tough and loses inspiration. Typically, I just take this guy for an. You can put him in galley crew and he's got condition, so you can take another fury point off your war beast. Not a game changer.
Pig Dirge, Rat 6 down to Rat 5, cut tough. Yeah.
Keep mark target is the important thing.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
the quartermaster at a rat 5, probably more like rat 7 now with mark
yeah.
target, and Stormzaw's still in the game, so we're still maybe rat 8.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Just quickly going for because I haven't got the one after next. So, Pig Galley Crew go from Def 13 to 14 again, cut tough and cut dual attack.
Yeah, so they're the guys that have condition, the cooks of the Brian Bloods. They get a bit an extra defense point. Say the same points. That's totally fair. We've got pig shockers. Now these are a unit which have disruption on their guns, and they're a unit of pigs. They lose tough. They gain mat 5. They gain a point of defense. The harpoon is on a pistol. They lose set defense as electrical resistance, and they gain a melee attack, which is power 10, electro elite, and disruption. I own a unit of these guys. I've never used them. I'm not a big fan of a unit that relies on fighting against warjacks.
Yeah.
So it's nice that they've got a melee attack. If it was a bit higher power, you might be able to buff it with Fury Strength and have actually a decent melee attack. But I don't think these guys are going to see a great deal of play. And I think, as we were speaking earlier, that sort of unit, so the galley crew are Fury management. The flame spitters and the pig shockers, I don't think are massively useful. Then you're left with the spirit shamans, which are like a utility unit. So for fighting, we're now left with boarding party or marauder crew. So all your fighting is being done by your marauder crew. So I think that's where sometimes lists get a bit homogenized with Brian Bloods because you're always looking to marauder crew.
Yeah.
I don't think that's changed in this edition. I think Firewalkers are actually even worse. So I think you're still going to see lots of marauder crew. But maybe with Boom Howler and Raisemonger, you see more melee warbeasts, which is quite nice.
Yeah. Speaking of Reef Troll, add slash change block explosive, cut reload, add powerful shot, power 12, 12. 12, 12's not bad. Harpoon range 8 goes to 10, power 12 to 13, both melee and ranged, and gains amphibious.
Yeah, so I really like the 12-12 on the change shot explosive. That's really nice, and it also means on the fire quill, even if you miss, you're still boosted power 12. So if you're like a lame caster like Jake, who's def 21 but armor 15, it's going to shoot you with 4 of them and you're still dead. Anyway,
not like
so that's interesting, and there's probably a place for a reef troll with a chain shot explosive and a ship's gun under fire quill, I think, because you need that. You want that for snipe for fire quill. So I think there's that's interesting, and I quite like that power 12-12. Big fan. The harpoon gaining range is quite cool, but a drag on a medium base, I've never massively been a fan of. I mean, it can be useful. Dragging is a really powerful tool. Medium base isn't the end of the world, but you pay quite a lot for it on a quite lackluster profile elsewhere. So Next up, we've got the Sky Bombers. So these are like the mercs that you can take in each faction. They both lose a point of mat, and
Yep.
Sky Bomber loses Sky Ladder. Next up, Spirit Shamans. So these lose a point of mat, which actually they hit weirdly hard. They're power 14 blessed. So you can
Yeah.
throw Stir the Blood on them and charge at power 16 blessed. Like late game, these guys actually really slap.
Yeah.
They're mat 5, which makes sense because they're meant to be like a utility unit. They keep Blackwater, really, really, really good. They keep Hexbolt. You sort of not overly useful, but it can be useful. But they gain Signals of Ascension, which is target something and give it magic weapons. So we lost magic weapons from our Tiki Tiki sticks, but you can target 3 models a turn and give them magic weapons. I think that now most of the army is amphibious. Every list will have a unit of Spirit Shamans in to trigger uh, concealment across your army. I don't think you'll have 2 because that's like 8 points and it's a lot. But you at least have 1, and at least every turn 2 Marauder crew units can have concealment. And if with booty bosses, you could have 2 units with stealth every turn. I think they're going to be like a staple of Marauder of Brinebloods. Sully loses a point in a rat, and when he explodes, he gains the blast damage type. I've not used Sully, and it's sort of when we used to play Guild Ball, right? It's a similar rule to Love's Creature. Unless you can put him in a way which is so unavoidable, you have to attack him. You just kill him last in the turn, and then you don't really get the benefit. I like the idea of it. It's a cool like thematic design. I'm not really thinking it works practically. The surgeons, they lose a point on mat. They cut shark bait, which is a shame because it's like when something fouls a tough roll in 5 inches, it can walk and make an attack. It does gain walk it off though, so they have basically put the fires out on a stick.
Yeah.
Running lots from Marauder crew is useful. They can return a model to a unit or heal a model. I don't love returning models to units. But if you can fire 2 points for put the fires out every turn in an infantry heavy army, I think it's definitely got uses.
Yeah.
We got Vroggers. They go to power 16 rather than 17. But no other changes. So that means paralyzing gaze is staying in the faction. So, we are less accurate, but we can still get to extreme accuracy. If you are a quartermaster unit that is near Stormjaw, targeting something that is in marked target, and targeting something which is in paralyzing gaze, you're effectively rat 10. If you're hitting something with a melee attack that is in paralyzing gaze and Stormjaw, you're effectively mat 9. So we are less accurate. We can still be very accurate, but you now have to apply things to get that accuracy. You don't passively get it. So previously, if you just use your mini feat on quartermasters, you were rat 7. Now you have to pay for a pig dirge and fly it next to the target. Previously, we were mat 8 passively with gang. Now you've got to get that Vrogger in range to apply paralyzing gaze. So we're accurate, but now you've got to pay the points for it, and you've got to apply it where you need it. And I think that's a good way of handling it. Last but not least, we've got Bagger the Borm, the big frogman. Now, Fuel the Flames adds an additional damage rather than +2 damage. That's pretty cool, but there's not many sources of Pacific fire damage in the army. So when it comes up, it's cool, but it's pretty niche. I do believe that the fire walkers, fire spitters, they are fire type damage rather than crit fire or continuous fire. So they are going to use that. Fuel the Flames, you have to have a Varroga nearby to have that triggered. So it's still a bit of a setup to use, but if it does happen, it's more effective. He gains Fire Starter and Tides of War. Tides of War is a really good spell, so that's great. His initial attack goes to power 14 because he no longer gets access to Fury Strength. And his feat completely changes to friendly faction models in Vagabond's control area gain +2 speed and Ghostly. So it's a pretty cool feat. It makes him not bad at assassinating people. Losing Fury Strength is a big blow to him because he used to be power 15 for all of his attacks. Now he's going to be power 14, and Stir the Blood could make him power 16 for one attack. He goes a bit further with his feet and ghostly, with 2 sidesteps and his feet. He does threaten a reasonable distance. Marauder crew with bosuns threaten 14 inches under his feet, which is respectable. Dire trolls with the squid to drag you in threaten 13. Ghostly is a really powerful rule. I really don't know where Bagaborn is going to sit once he releases.
I think
Um,
in for you to play,
mm.
I'm not sure either.
So we've got the Journeyman League coming up in
Yeah,
February, and I'm going to be using Bag of the Born, so I'll get a go at it, right?
yeah,
I mean, I'm going to be like hamstringing myself to only frogs, so I won't really be
yeah,
getting like a fully teched list for it, but I'll
yeah,
get an idea of what he's like.
yeah,
I don't think he. My gut instinct is he's not going to compete with like probably the other 5 warlocks really.
yeah,
He sends your army a bit further once a game, but he doesn't really like. So, for example, Fireblood pushes the damage really high. Boom Howler makes you very defensive against guns. Ragemonger pushes your melee damage really high, etc. He just sort of sends you a bit further and doesn't do much else.
yeah,
But it's hard to tell, and I'm obviously gonna be playing him, and I'll
yeah,
get the feel for it. But I'm glad he's got a feat which is universally useful now, right? Having the feat only affect ball croak models made it really really hard to ever to play him at all. Now
yeah,
I think you can definitely put him on the table, and if you're playing like a shield game with a friend, you've got like a proper list now, right? You've got a functioning list. That sums up, and there was a lot of them. That sums up the Brineblood changes in the January update. What was your gut reaction to say gut reaction? Now, where do you think you sit on the faction?
Uh, gut reaction was initially I was thinking, okay, this is making them easier to deal with. Now, after a couple of couple of nights of sitting on it, I think they're going to still be equally as frustrating for me to face. But they can do a lot of bang for their buck. Marauder crew, I think you mentioned it earlier because so much falls back to, well, why wouldn't you take Marauder crew? So and I think they're still good. You know, cutting gang was a big thing, but the UAs, the fact you've still got integration in faction, to Mat 6 effectively goes up Mat 7 within that 10 and things like that. I think they're going to be fairer. They weren't doing amazing statistically, so it wasn't like they needed a complete like nerf that. But I think I still think generally that the Marauder crew are an issue, not because necessarily Marauder crew are too overpowerful, but I still don't think the other units have been brought up to the same level or able to really compete. And I think when we went through those pig units in particular, that's where I agree with losing tough. But I just wonder if there's something else they needed just to push them a bit more, because I can see just 4 units of Marauder crew being in every Brian Cup, or at least 3 in every Brian Floods list. Anyway, yourself, what do you think to him?
Yeah, man, I think it was a really good explanation. Thank you. So I was pretty dooming when we first got to see the changes. Right, I was like, it's over. I might as well sell the army.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm never going to recover from this. Yeah,
um, and I think maybe what I perceived as nerf was there was a lot of accuracy loss, right? Cutting gang everywhere, the pigs losing tough. There was a lot of like you lose this, and I think that maybe is what I soaked in straight away. I think, but in general, the warlock there's a lot of warlocks which seem really interesting, right? Firequit. To be honest, I think all of them seem really interesting. Even Bag of the Born, even if it's not cutting edge competitive, you can build some fun lists and interesting lists with him, right? So I think they've got a super deep roster. Foul
yeah,
Blood and Shadow Tongue hit really hard. You know, like Shadow Tongue's getting things like Deepborn's to power 24 and Marauder Crew power 17. Foul Blood's doing that, and you got Stumbling Drunk Heavies. Boom
yeah,
Howler defensively is really solid into guns and has some really odd threat ranges with Avenging Force and Perdition.
yeah,
You've got Ragemonger who will hit mad hard in melee under the feet because that's what that feat does. And if you want to brawl him, that might be difficult. You've got Bagadaborn, which I think is probably the one I find hardest to read. How he will sit, I don't know. And you've got
Yep.
Firequill, who I think is offensively less impressive. Broadside
Yep.
means I get a kind of one really big turn where I feat for plus 2
Yeah.
hit and damage. A broadside, I shoot everything. They all go and shoot again. Right, that was a really big turn. His personal output is less. He lost 2 power on his guns, and he's lost a shot a turn. What he has gained is a feat that affects the whole army. So your list building is wide open. Black Penny all the time, paired with keeping Fortune Hunter, and being able to do 3 momentum shots or 3 sprays or a mixture of those. I think his game is much more wide open. He's a lot more techy than he is offensive now. And in terms of say the actual units, I think Marauder Crew personally, I think will still dominate the unit choice area. I would have loved to see the Fire Spitters maybe keep dual attack or lose dual attack and go down in a point or two. They're currently two more points than a Marauder Crew without an attachment. And even though with attachments they're 1 point extra, so say a bosun or a quartermaster, what those options add far go above the point extra you cost, right? So yeah, it's a shame I don't think we'll see much fire spitters, but where the faction sits as a whole, I think is probably competitive. I feel, and to be fair, there's a trend, and I'll be honest. The only faction I think that we've gone over so far that I think probably didn't get as much love as I expect would be Winter Corps. But you know, as we're doing all these videos and going through them, I think actually every faction's looking interesting, and I think Brinebloods happily sit in that interesting competitive zone. And you know, I applied for the WTC this year. There was a lot of old Umbre applicants, and if I get selected, it probably will be Brinebloods. So I'll get to explore all of that. And that wraps up Brinebloods. I think you're still going to see a bit of them. I think it's interesting. They previously were just above 50% win rate. How they come out of this, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But I still feel like I can build some competitive lists with them off the face of it.
Yeah. My only not gripe. My only thing is I wish there was something a bit more to mean that it wasn't just return to more Marauder Crew every time.
Yeah, I think maybe Ragemonger. I think, you know, giving a spell which gives your cohorts overtake. Berserk. Is there some sort of list where you can run lots of Reef Trolls and try and cut through lots of medium-based infantry under the feet? Maybe. I mean, that would be very good into lots of single-wing infantry, but I don't think we're going to see much of that still.
Yeah, we'll see.
So maybe there won't be. I think there'll be less quartermasters. I think that will naturally mean less Marauder Crew. I think people will probably run maybe 2 or 3 heavies, and then 2 or 3 Marauder Crew now, rather than all of the Marauder Crew all the time. But I do still think that the fighting unit in the army will be Marauder Crew.
Yeah.
Right, we'll wrap it up there. I think we've we've gone over an hour. We've yapped on for ages.
There was a lot of changes, though, wasn't there?
There was a lot of changes. They got looked at thoroughly, and I'm looking forward to playing them going forward. So if you made it this far, you're a bloody trooper. Thanks for sticking with us. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And we'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.